Okay, mate, I'm pleased to say that our new parts have come through without any.
Welcome to the Sunshine State. Miami is ready and we're ready for practice.
Okay, we need a few solid laps here to help us calculate a good race strategy. Programme complete and a job well done. We got some excellent data with that run, so come on back to the garage and I can take you through the numbers. Mind that front wing, it's going to need replacing if it takes too much damage. Okay, we can take you this lap. We've had to spend time repairing the damage to the car.
Sadly, it's time to say goodbye as free practice is over. Welcome back to Miami and welcome to qualifying. Only raw speed will separate these drivers today, but the question is, who's got what it takes to get pole? Welcome to today's sprint. This is shaping up to be another fantastic weekend. A lap of the Miami Grand Prix features 3.36 miles of track around the Hard Rock Stadium, and 19 corners make up the Miami International Autodrome, which will challenge the drivers in a tight wheel-to-wheel race. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's sprint. Ace lines up on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Perez, Fernando Alonso, Sainz, Oscar Piastri, Russell, Norris, Hamilton, Gasly, Stroll, Ocon, Tsunoda, Ricciardo, Albon, Magnussen, Hülkenberg, Bottas, and Logan Sargent. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint. And alongside me in the commentary box, my old friend, Anthony Davidson. Well, they say that a change is as good as a rest, and whilst there's not much rest on show in the sprint format today, there's definitely a change to what we're usually seeing on the track. I know what we've got to do before the start of today's race, but what about our driver? What do the final hours look like for them?
Well, for them, you've got your pre-race rituals that you go through. You see different drivers that, some have got their headphones on, they're listening to the music. Some drivers really absorb the energy from the crowd and they're there waving to them. Other drivers, they go within themselves. They chat to their engineers, absorbing that information, that vital information that you need to carry you through the race. And, those pre-race rituals are essential to making things systematic. We do a lot of Grand Prix in a season, and the more systematic you can be, the easier you are within that environment.
Right, I know you're hot in the cockpit, but your tyres are going to be even hotter. You're going to have to work extra hard today to keep them cool. DRS is being enabled this lap. We can use DRS when you're within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone. That was the fastest lap of the race. Keep this up. Well done. Okay, we lost the position. Try to keep focus. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 12.4 seconds. They're all fresh softs. They're in 19th place. Time last lap, 1 minute 35.4. Second place, you're in second place. Perez is behind you. They're all fresh softs. Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound. Come on, just 3 laps to go, 3 laps. Okay, you have some front wing damage, but not enough to justify a stop in the remaining laps. Okay, this is your final lap of the race. Continue to cut corners, the stewards are going to give you a penalty. Be careful.
Nice one. Very lovely drive. On to the next one.
Yes, great drive, great drive. Everyone here is really happy with that performance. Well done, mate.
Well, that's an end to the sprint action. Next up, we'll set the grid for the Grand Prix. So we'll see you next time. Welcome back to Miami and welcome to qualifying. Only raw speed will separate these drivers today, but the question is, who's got what it takes to get pole?
DRS now enabled. DRS enabled. That was far too aggressive, mate. Clean passes only. We don't want a penalty. Okay, be careful with the front wing. You've taken some minor damage. Approaching the pit window now, and you're going to be on hards next time. Gap to your teammate behind, 11.5 seconds. Okay, be aware, the grip levels are going to start falling away soon. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 10.7 seconds. They're in 18th. Time last lap, 1 minute 36.0. Push now, we're boxing this lap. Okay, mate, elbows out is great, but not that way. Come on, we can do better than that. Let's keep it clean, please. You might experience some understeer now that you're in the wake of the car ahead. Try to get past as soon as possible. Remember, box this lap. Keep an eye on your distance to the speed limit line as you approach and make sure you don't speed. Okay, off we go, back into the race. That was a fantastic stop, faster than we were expecting. That was our last stop, no more scheduled pit stops, let's go. Valtteri is in for his stop. The car behind's just boxed for mediums. Car behind on the medium tyre now. Valtteri's in the pits. Good work, we're in P4. Tsunoda ahead. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Perez behind. They're on fresh mediums. Our gap to first place, 13.6 seconds. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now. Okay, 7 laps to go. mate, you made that look easy. Nice work. That's why I love working with you. Smashed it. Okay, some information on Ricciardo. They've got some kind of mechanical problem. Okay, mate, after that front wing damage, we've got to look after it now. Please protect the front wing. Come on. Okay, we lost the position. Try to keep focus. Okay, mate, I'm afraid we didn't quite get what we needed there, but let's not worry about it. Get your head down now, chin up, and let's focus right until the checkered flag. Okay, you've got front wing damage, but only have a few laps left. If you can live with it, stay out. You need to slow down before hitting the corners. We don't want to get a penalty. We're seeing major front wing damage. Box, box, box. Okay, we've been given a time penalty. It will go against our finishing time at the end of the race. Get your head down and let's get it done. That looked bad. Are you alright? Let me know you're okay.
And an award-winning day for Oscar Piastri as he takes the checkered flag and wins.
They had to be decisive with their overtaking today as they worked their way through the field. And those kind of race victories are so enjoyable because it's not just like winning from the front. They really had to work for it today.
Our drivers are making their way out for the podium celebrations, and it's going to be McLaren picking up the winner's trophy. Congratulations to the entire team for that fantastic performance. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.